Traveling to the south. Ready for battle.
I'm going to own all these.
Okay, we'll do Chase first, just because, just in case Chase needs to go to bed. When you guys can, please join the party. I'll wait for you guys to join before I start. -1.
Blaz.
Yep.
After my VOD review, do I have to stay for Geku's or can I leave for Geku's?
You can. I mean, you can leave, but it would be best even if you watched his too, because it's regardless of it not being your play. There's might be some mistakes that you make that he does as well. That.
I was saying that because I have like an hour left.
Yeah, no,
And
I get that. Yeah, that's why. I get it.
I want to go take a shower.
Yeah,
before I
that's
sleep.
why I'm doing yours first. I'm just waiting for Gek to get in here, but if he doesn't get here in the next 5 minutes, then I'll start. Okay, there we go. Both of you guys watching the stream? Who? Oh. No, Chase is in here.
Yeah, but you can't. There you go.
Are both of you watching the stream?
Yeah.
Okay. Please mute me. I hate hearing myself. Okay, I don't really remember what we stick on here. I think we stick with the Ashe. Possibly.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 1. Capture the objective.
Good, you're jumping on him as soon as possible. Nice. Very nice. Nice. Good clip. Okay, although you could go for the Torb, the better pick right there would probably have been the BAP. We need to be diving on whatever our tanks are calling, especially since we're in a dive comp. But, I mean, we cleaned up the fight anyway. But just make sure you're prioritizing the correct targets when you're going into something like that. So, for what they had, I think it was Ryan Diva, BAP, Mercy, Hanzo, Torb. Pretty sure that's it. Our main goal is either to pressure. Honestly, it's pressuring. Unless we catch someone out on a flank like we did with the Hanzo, most of the time we're either going to be pressuring the takes down, making it harder for them to do anything. They can't really engage because they're always low all the time because you're poking them down, or and it pulls the attention away from the DPS for the healers. That way, it frees up space for our tank and our other DPS to maybe dive those DPS when the tanks are low. There's two main styles that you play as a tracer in this comp. It's making sure you're following up on a dive. When it's you're running something like a brawl comp, your playstyle should change varying your comp. So when you're in a dive comp, you're diving in with everyone. When you're playing something like a brawl comp, poke comp, bunker, that kind of thing, you either need to be pressuring out the tanks, so making sure that they can't push in or dive in, or if they do, they're going to get fucked as soon as they enter because they're already low. And you're also going to be controlling the flanks with any comp besides a dive. When you're on the dive, you're focused in on what your dive tanks are doing. When you're not in a dive, you're either controlling your flanks and pressuring out tanks, or you're gonna. And then the other play style is a backline assassin. With the comp that they're running, being a backline assassin is going to be a little bit harder. Their BAP is a little bit more survivable. Their Mercy is just going to fly away. I mean, yes, you did you did kill her in that situation, but a better Mercy or a better team would be able to protect her a little bit easier, peel for her. McCree, if you can bleed out Flash, then you go in, of course. But for the comp that they have, you shouldn't be a backline or trying to be a backline assassin. You need to be working with your team to follow up on their dives. So you're doing good with the flank here. I'm perfectly fine with this. We need to wait for the call to go in. Good pick on the Mercy. Good stick. That's good. Okay, being this far up, a good team, somebody might, like, let's say the McCree, for instance, that's who I'm really worried about. When they start pushing out of spawn, if the McCree comes in here, and a good player is always going to check his corners when he comes into a new area. If he checks the corner and you're emoting still, you're fucked. You might as well just say everyone back up the point and wait for you to return, instead of taking an early engagement, and their team gets forced progress on the point because you die, like in a situation like this. If you want to stay here and poke for a little bit and then dip out, that's fine. But staying here permanently without any real support to back you up is going to be difficult against a better team. Good dodge. Yeah, I wouldn't take this fight. He has a pocket. You're not going to win that. Okay, you're playing the waiting game a little bit too much. You need to be a little bit more proactive. You're just standing around waiting for something to happen or somebody to push in. Now you're being more proactive. Yep, he's dead. Good stick. Yep, stick on him. Good. Okay, in that situation, because you got the pick, that backline assassin mentality worked out for you. If you don't get that pick, your team could be fucked in that situation. So when we have a dive, it's more about what's the safest way to actually win it, right? The safest way would have been just waiting for your team, following up with a dive with your tanks and your other DPS, and then just going off of that. The play that you made was big. It still worked out. You got the pulse onto it, forced immortality out, and then you killed the BAP. But that was more risky, let's say, if either their Mercy were to peel, their D.Va were to peel, their McCree was next to the BAP, that kind of thing. So just make sure you are making sure you're keeping in mind the value of the playstyle you're going for. So if you're either going for that backline assassin or you're going for the more team-oriented play. And what is better in that moment. Yeah, I would have recalled. Still want to fight. Okay, I think you switch off. Yeah, okay.
No one.
No one rises. No one rises.
Round 2. Capture
No
the
one
objective.
Okay, so in the mirror that you're running right now, if you take this duel with the Widow, most likely you're gonna lose that duel. I'd say like probably like 7 times out of 10, unless you get the damage boost and you hit the headshot right off the bat, you're most likely gonna lose. Taking this main route, the most Widows are gonna be taking that top angle from there, or at least they're gonna be standing by the truck and have eyes on you. So you got to be prepared that if you're on an Ashe or you're on a Kree or Hanzo or something like that, that's basically anything but a Widow, going down this sight line, you are less favored in the duel. So taking a different angle either to the right or down the stairs to the right would be a little bit better. See? Or not. Just do things like that. That's cool. Still, better Widow probably could have hit that shot. Or at least hit the follow-up shot, the second shot. Good. Nice shot. Okay, they switch off Widow. Good dynamite. Okay, they rotate good. It's good spot to be. Nice. Okay, I think you just kind of got scared there. You should have rotated back to the left to the Laz, not towards the Zarya. But I think it was just kind of panic mode. This is still winnable. Dynamite. Good. I throw Bob out. Yep. I probably would have done Bob just a little bit sooner. Okay. Unlucky with the EMP, but he still gets the kill. Okay, I think he played that pretty well. Yeah, honestly, you played that as well as you could have in that situation. Okay, they're gonna try. Honestly, in this situation, you or Laz are gonna be the targets for their dive. Most likely more Laz than you, just because you have coach to at least give you a little bit more mobility. So where you're playing as soon as they come in is the most important part of whatever you're doing right now. So instead of playing where you are, if you wanted to play like honestly up here on this catwalk, this both gives you sight lines over here and over here. If they had a Widow, that's completely different. Your positioning should change after that to something with a sight line that's more narrow, so that so. For example, I guess a better. This is kind of hard with this map. I'm trying to think of a good spot. So let's say if it's a mirror match, either with they have the Ashe or Widows, right? So whichever way you're holding against an enemy Widow, because I know this isn't what they're running and it's not going to be what they're running, but this is just for future reference against a team that actually is capable of dueling you in the 1v1. Whenever you're holding an angle, you want to make sure that you're holding that angle and that angle alone, and that you're not going to be able to get hit from the side. So when you're poking down like through this way, your field of vision is anything from this wall to where the Zarya is, right? You have all of this. You're not looking at anything else. You're not paying attention to anything else. If they have the Widow or Ashe, anytime they come into this field of view, you're going to have the advantage. It's all about what's going to give you the leg up in the duel. In this case, you have free sight lines over this, so you need to make sure that when you're watching an angle like this, you're watching one angle and not like playing out like to this. Okay, because if you're out to this, not only do you have to watch anything over here, you also watch top, you also have to watch stairs, and all three of those angles. If you're not watching the one angle that the Widow or the Ashe is at, that advantage that you originally had is out the window compared to peeking something like this, where you have the ramp and a little bit of that catwalk, but not enough that an Asher Widow will be able to shoot you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just speaking out of my ass here.
I understand your fucking terms.
Okay. Good coach.
Heroes never die.
Good shot. Okay, yep, about to say rotate back up there. Good shot.
Smoke 'em out of there. Get me.
I was gonna say she's one swag. Nice, yeah, you're just keeping that bitch in check. Good job. Laz is having a bad time against the Doomfist. Round.
Ready for battle.
Ready, player
Hey
one.
there.
Fully healed.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Round 3.
Okay, I know this one was at least a little bit closer, so hopefully we get something a little bit better than a 2-minute rant, and that's about it for coaching. Good try. Good dynamite. It's big. I was about to say, at this point, you already have one pick up. Your team is pushing into them. Your whole team is healthy. Take this duel with the soldier. Either so right as like after you kill the Genji, if you can start rotating this way to take the duel with the soldier. Because even though you have you're running double shield, he's still going to be able to burn those barriers enough that their tanks or their tanks and their supports are still going to be able to a degree efficiently trade to the max potential that they can with the shield battle. So if you switch over to this angle and poke down the soldier, at least force him to hide back, then you guys are going to be even more so winning the shield trade and being able to run over their tanks and supports even more. So yeah, at this point, I mean, I would just go over after you kill the Genji over to the soldier. Nice. Yeah, you're waiting on this angle too long. Just go to the right at this point. Yeah, you held the same angle for, your dynamite to come through twice. You could have just rotated in that time. Nice, good shot.
Watch out for the 1%.
Good try.
Enemy target located.
Nice shot.
You're fully
Look for the dynamite. They don't have personal. Nice.
Let them out.
Wow, that's a good angle. Dynamite. I like that angle that you were holding. Yeah, up here. That's actually a pretty good angle, especially since as they don't have a hit scan, or not a hit scan, a one-shot ability hero. Well, more or less Ash, Widow, or Hanzo. So poking up here, I think this is even a better angle than holding behind your tanks. Because let's say if they do start pressuring you out, or if their Genji dashes you, you have all of this room to back up, and if you coach gun this way, you have your supports right next to you. Yeah, that's fine. Nice.
Hello. Amplification matrix ready.
That was an okay Bob, but I don't know what ults were called during this fight. I don't think Bob was really needed here, especially since we popped Amp and Rally. When we pop Rally, that gives us the ability to be much more aggressive, because that's basically you can't kill me button. And with Amp Matrix, you're going to be doing just as much damage as throwing your Bob out would. And if you save the Bob, since we don't have Flux or a support ult to counter their Blade, as soon as that Blade comes in, if we were to have Bob, I'm not saying that entirely shuts down Blade, but it puts a hell of a lot more pressure on the Genji, especially since he's going to be going in with a naked Blade without Nano, without EMP, that kind of thing. All he's going to have is either grab or Flux. Either way, basically we just could have saved Bob there. But that's basically down to a team thing, that whatever the ults were called, should have just saved Bob after we popped both the support ults. Yeah, this is not your fault. If anything, what you could have done to change that, I mean, and in this situation you couldn't have, but if you did have Bob, again, same thing, running it back, and let's say if you did have Bob, then rotate with them and then throw Bob out as soon as they pop grab and Blade. You might know this better than I do, but when you shoot someone, is that who Bob focuses, like Torb Turret?
What?
So when you're on Torb and you shoot someone, that's who the turret focuses. Is that the same way with Bob? I don't remember.
I don't even know that on Torb.
Oh.
No,
Did you know that?
I don't think Bob just focuses whoever, like, if Bob directly hits someone, it'll focus them. But like, if you just throw out Bob and it just bounces off a wall, it would just focus whoever is, like, I think closest.
In LOS, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if it was like the Torb Turret or not, because if it was like the Torb Turret, then, again, it would just kind of made my point to, as soon as the Genji goes through, peg him with a non-scoped in shot, and then hopefully Bob focuses him. But I didn't know that. Yeah, that would be pretty good. You had Coach Gun there. Obviously, just use Coach Gun as soon as that first shot hits, because going into that, your focus is on the whole team instead of where the Ashe is. Once that first shot comes through, unless you can unless you automatically know where this bitch is and you can just like completely switch your focus to her and pop her back, she has the advantage because you aren't looking at her, you aren't focusing at her, and you don't know where she is. So instead of just walking back, just pop that Coach Gun back and try to get the fuck out of there.
You get me riled up.
Okay, so since they have choke control, one flank that one thing that you should be doing as personally, as just for you, as all of you DPS, is you guys need to be going on flanks more. I know Geku does it occasionally, but for the most part,
that's all I do.
I personally, maybe I'm just not thinking hard enough, but I just don't see it as often. But for something like breaking through a choke, with how I guess it's just that's easier for Koth maps than it is any other map, because I'm trying to think of a map right now and I keep thinking Hollywood. But either way, with most chokes, if there's another way to get through the choke that's not where your team is going to be, if you take that as a DPS, you're playing a little bit more safe when you're doing that. But if you take that off angle, you're either forcing shields at you, you're forcing resources to be put into, or you're forcing the enemy's resources to be put into their team. But just make sure that when you go on these flanks, you're not doing some stupid ass shit. You're just going for a flank that's going to help your team push through a choke. So in this situation, instead of going down main with the rest of your team, go right, and when you do go right, ask for Maddie to come with you. Either Maddie or Chu, either one. Going on the right, let's say if their Ashe is sitting on that bridge. Here, I'll just go over there. I mean, I know she's right there at the moment, but let's say by time you guys you're ready to push through choke, let's say she is rotated, or if they have somebody else watching this flank and also paying attention up here. Either way, a 1v1 you're more likely to lose than a 1v2, especially if you have a Brig or a Sig. So if you're calling for just either Maddie or Chu to be right next to you to be able to help you out in a 1v1 and also keep you safe while you're over here, you take this angle. I mean, look at this. This is fucking beautiful. You know, you throw your dynamite, you get a six-man dynamite, and then you click heads. If the Genji tries to dash you, you have a Brig or a Sig right next to you to either whip shot, bash, rock, etc. Throw a shield in their face, that kind of thing. So make sure that when you take an angle like this, especially pushing through a choke, that you can, if they don't have a lot of tank pressure or frontline pressure, which right now they really don't, and you're going to win the shield war against this comp. So if you're taking on this off angle with one of the two people, that's a better play than just six-manning through a choke. Because if you're six-manning through a choke, that's just lining them up for either a dash through to get Blade, and then popping Blade, grab, Flux, Bob, Cole, that kind of thing. Taking this off angle, you are going to help them push through choke, because that's going to force them. Because as soon as you take this and you start putting shots into them, that's going to force them to come back this way. And as soon as they do, that allows the choke for the rest of your 4 players to come through and start pushing through. As soon as they through this choke, you guys start to meet up a little bit, and then you take another flank, or at least another off angle, and then you have another free angle to shoot. And you know what I'm trying to say, right? Do you get the point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they just popped both support ults. You just wait this out. Yeah, unlucky. Ooh, both tank ults. But still, I think that was a decently good trade for us, especially since we are now winning the fight. Never mind. I mean, if you want to come down... Okay, I remember this. This is... Yikes. Again, if you want to go back to that fight, that Blade wouldn't have been able to kill you if you were on the flank. But...
Objectives mine.
Yep. Get out of dodge.
Bob, do something.
Let them up.
Good bubble from Zarya. Nice, good focus. Good. Yeah, as soon as you see that Moira fade over to the right, that's where the focus should be. Oh, that was good. Nice. I don't think they come back from this. Waiting for the recall, that was nice. Nice shot. Good, I like this position that you're at. Good power play. Nice. Make sure that when in between shots, if you can, so you know this Doomfist is coming back. Let's say if he either switched to a faster character or had a better rollout, you need to be try to count, make sure in your head you're counting when someone like a Doomfist, something like a Ball, something like a D.Va, that kind of thing is going to come back. And either in between shots or in between every other shot, make sure you're checking your left, because if they come through, you're going to be prepared for that instead of looking down mid and not knowing that, right?
Victory.
Well, that wasn't much. I mean, unless you can do another map, that's all I got for you. I don't know. There wasn't many overarching things. It was just small things that, either in the heat of the moment that you could have done better, or that honestly that's really all I have. That and positioning. Make sure you're taking those flanks if you can to help your team get through a choke, especially such a difficult choke like Busan. Let's say if they had a better comp like a Rein Zarya instead of a Sig Zarya, that choke would be much harder to get through. And if you take that off angle, you're going to be forcing them away from that choke, because either that's going to force them to push into your team, which still, I mean, in that case, it's either if you have a Brig or a Sig with you, it's going to be a 4v6, or it's going to be a 5v6 if you're on your lonesome, or they're going to try to either back up so that they aren't having to split their focus, or they're going to rush you. Either one of those three is somehow two of those at least is going to work out for you and your team. If they start pushing you, you start backing up, your team gets through the choke. There you go, you just made it through the choke. If they start backing up, boom, your whole team's through the choke. If they start pushing your team, that's a different story. But trying to think else to the other maps. I said my piece on Tracer again with the different styles. Widow Ashe, make sure you're taking these angles. The best Widows in the world, if you watch them, anytime they take an angle for... so I'm thinking, if you can track with my mind here, I'm thinking on Havana's second point when you're on attack, right? Do you know where the Mega is all the way on the right side next to the forklift?
Like all the way to the right.
Yeah, on second point.
Yeah.
All the way to the right. So on that top catwalk, if you're holding right there almost outside, the angle that you can see through that is directly on the opposite side through that lower door where third point attacker spawn is. Do you follow?
I think, yeah.
Give me 1 second. I can explain this real quick.
No, you're
It's
talking
easy.
about the
Go ahead.
like the whole area I could cover with.
This will explain it entirely because this is the exact angle that I was explained to me.
Ready for battle.
This angle right here. So for the best Widows in the world, whenever they hold an angle, they're going to hold an angle that is safe and isn't going to surprise them in a way where they're going to lose the duel. So for this angle, all you can see is either that left big, the big wide door, or you're holding that bottom door from this angle. This also isn't exposing yourself to any of the enemy team. As soon as they start pushing through either the top, through that cutout window, either way, if they come this way, they're not going to be able to shoot you, they're not going to be able to poke you if you're holding this angle. What this also does, it gives you this is essentially you controlling this flank. If anyone tries to go this way, if it's a Widow, if it's a support, whatever. If you're going this way, if you're looking this way and they start coming through, you're automatically favored in, let's say if it's a squishy, you're automatically favored in this duel compared to them coming out the top and coming, sorry, not compared to that. Compared to like looking out this way, where if they pop that through this way, through that door from their spawn, they're going to be able to hit you. They can pop left, they can pop right, they can come out cut off window and jump down and then start peeking you. They can go those stairs to the left. Any of those. Do you see what I mean? When you're controlling an angle, you're making sure that you're favoring yourself in that duel. So like poking up here isn't going to be as good as you watching this flank. If nobody comes through in a little bit and you start hearing calls against their team, that's when you can start coming out, you can start looking for people, or you switch to a different angle. So at that point, if you don't see anybody coming out of that door, you switch to this angle. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's what I mean by controlling those angles. When you control those angles like that, you're going to get a lot more value compared to putting yourself in danger out here. Because when you're on a character like Ashe or you're on a character like Widow, your pick potential is going to be far greater than any other DPS, for the most part. I'm not even going to have to try to, so making sure you're staying alive to maximize the pick potential that you have is making sure that you're holding these angles and you're doing it safely and you're giving yourself the edge in any duel that you'll have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Got it. Did you learn anything? Honestly, I know that was one map that it was kind of a roll, but probably would have been better to look at these other maps. Sure. Okay.
Tips, I guess.
No.
I don't know, I got tips.
Huh?
I don't know. Maybe.
Am I
tips?
basically? Am I
Are you
telling
giving
you
some
anything
tips?
that you didn't know, or
Mm, I don't know.
or that you're like, oh, okay, that
like,
makes sense.
Yeah. I know. I
This
think,
is
I think
ju-
I
this is
understand, like,
for the most part. This is genuinely for me. I don't play DPS. My DPS isn't that high. I'm not the best on DPS, but I'm trying to learn at least how to coach DPS. So any information that you have that's gonna like say, okay, yeah, I didn't really learn anything out of this, is gonna be able to help me to, start coach better at least on DPS. You know what I'm saying? So if you didn't learn any, because for me personally, I fucking suck at hit scan. I can't click heads. You put me on something like Mei, you put me on something that's a little bit more brain powered, I can try that. I can do a little bit better at that. But for something as like small and simple as, or not small and simple, but something as more hero focused,
like,
you know what I mean?
you want me to be like straight honest, like, I
Go
don't know.
for
It's
it.
like it's weird hearing a plat or like Diamond DPS talking to a 4K, like a 4K DPS, like.
Okay, and
it's like,
here's my point to that. Here's my point to that. Even though I'm not a high on any of the roles,
Mhm.
at least your team is trusting me enough to be able to help you point out mistakes and get better as a team and both on roles. Doesn't matter if I'm a fucking gold player. If I have enough brain power to look at someone's play and say, okay, they're doing this wrong, they're doing this wrong, they're doing this right, that kind of thing. Don't look like, honestly, I hate this narrative because do you know who Sideshow is? Or Bren? No? Okay.
No.
These two guys, they are, I think, peak. One's like a 3.5, the other it barely has scratched diamond. They're both analysts for the Overwatch League. Like, and if it doesn't matter that they're that low in ranked, because they can still analyze someone's play at such a high level that they understand the game even more than an average Masters player, than an average low GM player. I'm not saying I'm them in any sense of the word. I'm just saying try not to look at like the rank as
maybe like your game sense is high, but your mechanical skills is
bingo. Exactly.
like that.
Yes. Or either that, or I'm not applying anything I'm trying to teach you to my play for DPS in particular.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
What is that? What is that code?
What is
I
what?
want that code. What is that code? Because I remember I had like a nice 3-piece, and I want to go look at it. I just want the code.
For Havana or for Busan?
Havana.
There's two codes for it. I'll make sure to send it to you.
I think it's the first one where we hold them.
Okay. Let me see if I can find it.
It was the first one. Pretty sure.
There it is.
You could just send it to me. And
Yeah,
I'll just
I am.
send it. Okay, I gotta go.
Yep.
I like to-
It's the
So,
one that
sorry.
says 45 minutes ago and... Hold on, it's loading. The one that says 40 minutes ago and 50 minutes ago. On the screenshot. Those are the two Havana clips.
Yeah, I gotta go. Have a good night.
Yep, me too. Okay, Geku here.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you think? I'm just curious at what you think at that.
But what?
Even though I'm not a 4K player, do you think what I'm teaching you is, or at least telling you, is at least helpful at all?
I mean, I
Be
don't
honest,
really
like
care
honestly,
about
if it
ranking.
is.
I mean,
If
like
it is or
most of the
isn't.
stuff I already know.
Okay.
I can like, yeah, like sometimes you just point out stuff that I already know. It's like, yeah, I know I played bad. I know I could have done better, but like sometimes you do point out like, oh, you probably shouldn't have been there, or like telling, because like I know how to play on a team, but I haven't done it in a while, so like
Mm.
you're refreshing my memory on how to play better as a team than solo queue. If that makes sense.
Mm. Do you remember what maps you played on in this scrim? I think you played Hanamura and Kings.
Yeah, sounds right. Yeah.
Your pick. What do you want to look at?
I don't even remember what heroes I played on those. I won
Hanamura is
both of those
Torb.
maps.
I at least know at least one character on Hanamura was Torb.
Yeah, it's Hanamura.
Okay.
Traveling to Hanamura.
Is that the team where they left?
Ready.
That's good.
No. This is the day before the game, I think. This is the one where you guys played 5 maps.
Mm.
Ready for battle.
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
We don't talk about that.
Oh, the trap.
Yeah. Hey, you guys are right. Okay, once you pop deflect, if there's no incoming damage like that coming in fast, like if as soon as you pop deflect, if there's not a lot of damage coming in, just don't even worry about it and just cancel it and move away. Don't just stand there and then choke and take poke like that. I mean, we build nano from this quick, but yeah. Okay, so another thing you could do here while we're sitting at choke, instead of poking down main where there's going to be a shield in your way, if you climb up here, poke down from up here, poke, the back line, whatever, or if you're right here, same thing. Both of that is going to be able to let you hit more consistent damage compared to sitting at choke and poking down a shield. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I fucking died when I saw that trap. Yep, grab Mega. Oh, they left a Rhino high and dry. Okay, try to get healed up before you go in deep. Watch the trap. That's unlucky. Whoever booped up, whoever booped the Bob kind of fucked you.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I didn't even notice that I died from Bob. I thought I died from something else.
Watch the trap. I forgot Gage was on this team. Yeah, we don't talk about that either.
Oh, that thing. Yeah. I wasn't having a good day.
Okay, so when you see the Ashe, because I remember when the dive was called, or when we go in, I remember who we dive, because we do dive the Ashe. You're not going to be able to reach this, and any damage that Tusk and Chew do is not going to mean shit, because nobody else on your team is going to be able to reach the Ashe besides Tusk, Chew, Maddie if she gets a good rollout, and you. So if you guys are just going to come down mid, basically what you're doing, you're just straight up running at the Ashe, and which is, you know, what do you never do as a Tracer when you're running towards a hit scan? Never run in a straight line, right? As soon as you run in a straight line, you're just begging to be dinked in the head. Same thing applies with any other character. If you're going to run straight at someone without shields or anything like that, you might as well just find a different route. In your case, when we call for the Ashe, when we call for the Ashe, and no damage that our tanks are going to do is going to be able to kill him, because he has a mercy pocket. So in order to be able to kill the Ashe with the initial dive, you need to be in close enough range so that you're going to be able to go with your tanks onto that, instead of having to walk all the way up here and then dash, right? So instead of coming straight down main where you are, rotate where Chase is at, and as soon as the dive is called, that's when we go in. Even if it takes a couple more seconds for you to rotate, a clean dive is going to be much more impactful compared to a long, drawn-out fight where you finally get to the Ashe, but it's going to take longer. And at that rate, they might have already gotten a pick, they might pop off on ults, that kind of thing. So instead of coming to where you are right here, rotate to the left to be able to set up for that dive. Only thing there, I don't know why you didn't dash sooner at the junk. You might have been able to cancel tire with it.
I didn't think he was going for me.
No.
He was.
Oh, no fair! I'm on fire!
Cheers, an nasty bomb. Good peel for your Ana. Nice, good deflect. Okay, I don't know if you just didn't hear the Doom. At least I did. I heard the Doom coming out. Instead of dashing towards your team in the middle of the point, just go for the door. But again, yeah, that's something you know. Good. Close. Oh, I don't know. Oh, that did go on you. I was about to say, I don't think that did. Yeah, just get in that monkey's face. Nice, good deflect. Yeah, they did that. Yeah, our target focus wasn't on the ball by time he'd stalled out long enough for their reinforcements to come back. Unlucky.
Yeah, I wanted to switch off Genji a lot sooner because I know I wasn't doing that much damage, but I kept getting gold.
Yeah. Looking at this comp, what would you have switched to? Just for fun.
It's like McCree. It's anything that's not Genji, honestly.
I think McCree is a bit dangerous here just because with the dive that they're running, that Doom or Tracer, if they both go on you, is going to fuck you over.
I was just more thinking of stun for the ball.
Gotcha.
They were just stalling for a long time, and
I know you're going to hate it, but I think best pick here is going to be Somber. You're going to be able to shut down the Doom easier. You're going to be able to shut down the ball.
Yeah, but I could also stay with like Laz and stuff. It's like
True.
because he was getting dove a lot.
Yeah, he was.
But I wanted to switch to.
Yeah.
Then I kept getting good.
Well, okay. Even if you were to switch to McCree in that situation to be with Laz when he gets dove, even if you were on a Sombra, you're just play close enough to him that when they do, you get the hack off. So either if Doomfist goes on him, he has no abilities. If Tracer goes on him, she can't get out. Ball, you're just gonna burn down until he either gets out or gets heals from somebody. Either way, you could still. Sombra against this comp just looks so much juicier just because of the Doom, the Ball, especially the Diva, and the Tracer. I mean, all four of those characters are not necessarily hard countering, are not necessarily going to be hard countered by Sombra, but you can still play the same as what you wanted to play with McCree and still get more value out of the character that you're on, because Flash is only is on cooldown for 7 seconds compared to Hack, which is on the same amount, but it also lasts longer, does more for your team individually as a whole instead of just individually for a stun. So you could still do the same thing on Sombra. It's just that you just need to play closer to Laz to be able to peel for him in that situation. Good blade. Lucky son of a bitch. Kind of surprised Moira didn't chase you.
Yeah, got away.
Nice. So yeah, so where Laz is playing right here, if you were, and this is where you play as Sombra, because you're close enough to be able to 180 and help Laz, but you're also staying in the fight. So, I mean, that I'm just explaining the point. But that's
Yeah.
Good eye on the Doom. Good, you didn't use dash. There we go. I think timing of Blade there wasn't... I don't know.
I just got booped and I lost my tracking.
So let's just watch this again. So you go in, you get an anode, you get the... Yep, she fades. Unlucky. Oh, you actually got the damage. Never mind.
Oh no, wait, she died and okay.
Yeah.
There's just nothing to jump to.
Yeah, honestly, there was just no squishies out there for you to be able to dash to. All that there was were tanks, and even if tanks is slashing on the tanks is still going to be worth value, just because Blade does what 120 damage or 80
around there. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Either way, that's still going to be a shit ton of damage, especially if you're nanoed, so. Good combo. Nice. Yeah. That was good.
Initiating match.
Yeah, honestly, I don't think that's your fault that you didn't get anything out of that blade. It was more, we kind of used it, not at the...
It's just a panic. I don't know,
honestly, it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that.
There.
It wasn't that bad of a blade. You were just looking for... That fight was basically just cleanup, and you putting the extra damage on the tanks was giving you the chance to be able to clean that up. Even though you didn't have any dash targets to go to for either support, any kind of squishy, didn't matter just because you were still putting that consistent damage on their tanks.
Yeah.
Ready for battle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. Defend objective A.
So, I'm fine with the turret where it is. But at the start, if you wanted to, either putting it up here with Laz or putting it on another angle so that, well, I mean, with what they're running, it won't really matter too much, but just because if it like I'm saying, if it was more of if they were running a Rein Zarya or if they were running a Brawl or a Poke comp, putting it on this off angle or like over here as soon as they come through choke is going to put pressure on them from another angle, which again creates a crossfire for you. But since they have dive, where your turret is perfect, just because if they dive on Zen, you're going to be able to have that extra presence to deal any damage to anyone who comes in on Maddie. But that me saying the turret thing is more for another comp, not necessarily dive.
Yeah.
Fine with the good start poke. Okay, you hear the Doom above you. You need to be looking for this.
Well, I put his music on. Most of the time I don't fucking listen to stuff like that. I don't see them and I don't acknowledge them. I think I did see him go up the stairs though.
Yeah, you did. You even turned your camera towards him. That was fine. I didn't think you need to use secondary. You probably could have just primaried the Mercy in the head and she would have died faster. Bad turret placement. You should readjust that when you do.
I do. I just, cause when the
just
turret's
threw it out,
shooting
fight's
at someone, yeah, when turret's shooting at something, you can't place it back. So I put it there so I could relocate it.
Gotcha. I like that you're using this to body block for you. Yeah, nothing else is needed. That was regular stuff. You're just spamming down a choke at this point. You did it to him. Good. I don't like bullocks.
No one can hide from my sight.
Yeah, I don't like this flank too much.
Fucking nah. Last told me, he's like, Ashe is up there alone, go get her. I was like, alright, cool. Ashe is not a fucking alone. D.Va was up there.
No. She was alone. The D.Va came out behind the Ashe, or behind you.
Yeah, but you didn't tell me that. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go chase her, and then
Yeah.
I used my secondary to catch up to her.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was gonna kill her, but yeah.
Miscommunication in general on that, but even with the Ashe up there, I don't really think it would be your job in the comp that you're running to deal with her. That's more on Chase to be able to, as soon as she pops her head, that Chase is either focusing her down or taking the duel with her. I don't think you need to run up in there, especially because I've explained it with this comp, specifically for the tanks, that when Chu is holding here, and this is going to apply to you, but when Tusk is holding here, they're going to be forced to do one of two things. Either they push Chu, and in that case, Tusk comes up from behind and starts collapsing on them. If they push Tusk, we throw him Lamp, he's going to be fine here. And we'll be able to push to help him. Or they go into this box. And if they go into this box, you rotate to them, or you mirror their rotation, and if they come out this way, it's the same thing, they're stuck in another choke. Or they go up the stairs, which in that case, you just start rotating to where Maddie is. Same thing applies to you, that you going through to this, this is basically a kill box if you're not with your entire team. If you're in here alone, and just the risk factor of you going on this to chase down the Ashe, even if you're feeling good, you're hitting some shots, all the Ashe has to do is hit two or three good headshots on you and you're fucked. Compared to you, unless you're hitting the same headshots. Going anywhere in here is very dangerous, just because who's going to help you from in here? You're not going to get orb, you're not going to get heals from Laz, you're not going to get field, all that kind of stuff. So coming in here is a very dangerous play. So even if Laz tells you to do this, unless somebody is following you in here with you to help you out, I wouldn't go on this flank. Yeah, we just get rolled after this.
Maximum power.
Turret, yep. Need to be a little bit faster with the sludge. I know you were trying to get max area coverage, but you need to be a little bit faster with it.
Time to let off some steam. I'm overloading.
Yep, at that point, yep, suicide. Okay, switch over to Tracer, alright. Okay, so this is one of the situations that I was talking about with Chase. I don't know, were you paying attention during that when I went on my rant about Tracer?
No.
Man, you motherfuckers need to be paying attention to this shit. This is why I have you both in here when I could just do it by myself with you guys individually.
And just remind me, I probably heard it, I just forget.
So, the two different styles that Tracers will play. Either you're going to be the backline assassin, or you're going to be, you know, controlling flanks and pressuring tanks. You don't necessarily need to be the backline assassin just because you have Chase on the Widow. He's going to be the one that's going to be looking for those burst picks compared to you on Tracer. At this point, all you need to do is either you're pressuring the tanks or you're controlling flanks. Since they have a Tracer, you're going to be doing both of those. At least you should be. So you don't need to go for a play out the right door. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're pressuring tanks from a distance. Again, you would have heard this Tracer.
No one can hide from my sight.
You a little slow on the draw with recall there.
I didn't know I had it.
You didn't know you had it, bitch. You didn't even use it at all.
Yeah, no, it was just a bad day. I wasn't playing good.
Right.
And then we just got rolled. I lived
Yeah.
in the fucking.
Attackers.
Good. I'm glad we picked Phantom Hornet. You're getting a range of heroes.
Listen to 5, 4, 3.
Hola.
And you're playing somebody I can hopefully help you on.
Attackers incoming. Check this out. Defend objective A.
Be right back.
I am shocked you made it through that choke. Yep, good rotation. Replace your... Yep. Hack the Diva. Good. Now you're just farming for EMP here. I mean, you already got 2 picks off, so...
I'm out.
Yep.
Beacon in place.
Good. Nice.
No more time to waste. Let's get this done.
Toxic.
Translocating.
Good. I'm glad you're setting your TP not on point, because for this next point, this is where Sombra's mostly put their TP, is right on the health pack. Again, you're in a farming phase right now. Your team isn't fully pushed up to point yet, which your farming phase should, for the most part, it's a golden opportunity if you can get it on a tank. Your Rhein's right behind you. Can't really reach D.Va. So for the most part, the Rhine, as soon as he comes through, and again, if you don't have music on, you hear this, but once he starts coming through, you get the hack, you could probably get up to maybe 80% if nobody peels for him and helps him out. So right now you're in the farming phase because they're not completely at point yet, and if you get this farming phase, you're going to be able to get EMP through the mid fight. So let's say we were running the clock down. You hack the Rhine right now. You're shooting, you're shooting, you're shooting, you're shooting, you're shooting, you're shooting, you're shooting. You have 80%. As soon as you start kiting, as soon as you use TP to get back, that's when you go in. You're at 80%. Your team goes in. You come in. You build the rest of that EMP up. You have EMP for the mid fight.
Mm-hmm.
See you later.
30 seconds.
Make sure you're calling out your hacked health packs. Good attempt on the hack. Good hack. Oh, he didn't even hit the hack. I'm shocked he didn't hit the hack on the brig.
Sometimes
Good.
I stop it because I think I fucking.
Yeah. Don't EMP. Oh, okay. You're lucky. Yeah, don't try to hack a Moira when she's looking right at you. I want to go back and look at this EMP real quick. You're the only one that got hit by that. That's so unlucky. Yeah, it. This was such a small interaction just because the Doom used Meteor Strike, like right as you popped it. But you know this fight is gonna go long. You don't even have a first tick yet. I would save EMP here and wait for more people to come out because when you wait for more people to get out and you're just focusing, you know, you focus down the turret, you focus down Torb. As soon as the Doomfist lands, you get the hack on him. Even if you're not killing these people and you're still pressuring them, as soon as the rest of their reinforcements come out and you get this EMP, it's going to be a lot bigger in order for you to use something like choose bomb in order to capitalize on that. Does that make sense?
I just used it because I just used it because I thought I was gonna die.
Gotcha.
And like it's last fight, so I gotta use it. And so throw it out.
Sure. Yeah, makes sense. I understand. Gauge.
I'm out of here.
Still cleaning up. Good try on the hack on the Moira. I mean, if you can register it that quickly, once you go on the hack for the Torb and you see that ball, just cancel hack and then wait for the ball to come out so you can hack him. But again, that's a small thing.
I've seen, I was bound to pick something up. Power overwhelming! Hello! Hello!
Enough waiting around.
So weird. Yep, just keep firing down the choke. That was pretty dangerous. If that Hanzo sees you and you're still standing still, that's a free headshot for him to kill you. I mean, again, like these are things that never happen, and I'm gonna point out obviously just because against someone who's better, if they see you just poking down mid, they're gonna jiggle peek that, and as soon as they pop around the corner, you're gonna get dinked and you're gonna die. So just try not to stand still so much and jiggle peek to match
I
the
just
Hanzo.
do that because like, I don't know. He was missing everything.
So, if you guys are going to be playing on this left side, throw the turret on the opposite side. Right now, you don't have Tusk, so you're not going to be able to control the choke. But on point, if you just throw Torb turret over here, yes, it's going to be a small thing that they're going to have to focus down, and it's going to take like 3 seconds. But still, that's buying you time and resources that you can be able to focus in on to, let's say, the Rhine who's trying to shield the pressure that you guys are putting in. So instead of throwing the Torb turret right here, throw it in this corner, because it's another split for an angle for the other team that they have to focus. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
lucky that you had to reload. Good. You went out with okay. It's important that you went out there with Fortify and not just alone, because if the Ashe gets her sights on you and or something like that, you could die.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, you guys in total played that well, but it's just those small details that are gonna make it a little bit easier for in the future against a better team.
I have big plans for you.
Nice shot. And by the way, when I said the thing about the Hanzo just peeking around, where you're at right now, this isn't what I was talking about. I was talking about when you're.
No, I know. I was the choke. I know.
Yeah, because right now your body or your corner.
I'm getting shielded by my turret.
Right, basically. Yeah, this is fine. But I was just saying at the choke. Didn't know if that's what you were thinking, because I know there's the delay in stream. But I mean, it also again it also applies. If the Widow takes that angle and she sees you, there's that one tiny possibility that as soon as you jump, she clicks that head and you're dead. So make sure you're again taking that angle is fine on top of the turret. Either make sure you're not going to jump over the turret, or you're playing inside the turret, or try to switch up your angles, you know. Play from right where you are, where the Widow's not going to be able to see you unless she's in where that Mega is, or top right, that kind of thing. Yeah. Okay, I hope you do what I think you do. No, okay. So, right now you're looking for a big, you're looking for a big splooge here. Once you pop Molten Core, focus the fuck out of the D.Va so that you can pop it in there, and it is all of them in there is going to get fucked. You know, they're all going to die. So when you pop that Molten Core, you want to be focusing down the D.Va just so she doesn't eat all of it. She's a hungry bitch, but you don't want her to eat your nut, dude. Not this bitch.
30 seconds.
Yeah, don't go in there. Good.
No one can hide from my sight.
You're fucking toxic, dude.
10 seconds.
Unlucky. That was good. So with the Torb, specifically for this map, that angle that you were working with is fine. Every once in a while, try to switch it up just so, you know, as soon as they come in that first time and they see you, they're not going to automatically switch over to something, because they're going to notice, hey, he's holding that angle. If I switch to an Ashe, a Hanzo, a Widow, I can just wait for him to peek eventually, and then once I do, I get the kill. We move in a 6v5. So try to take a different angle every once in a while. Anytime you're about to use Molten Core, I mean, this is an obvious thing that you know, but focus down the D.Va. Make sure that you can get that off without her being able to eat all of it. You don't want to make that bitch a cum guzzler. You know, she's a nice little girl. Turret placement. At the start, when you have both your tanks up like that, keep the turret on your Zen, but let's say if one of your tanks die and you guys are forced back to point, try to throw that on an off angle, because that's going to give you that extra DPS to hopefully turn a 5v6 around.
Yeah.
Trying to think of anything else for Torb-wise. Yeah, nothing on Torb-wise. You weren't on Tracer much. Again, I explained the two different play styles. When you just need to realize on Tracer when you need to switch over to that other play style. If you have somebody who has that high pick potential, like the Ashe, like the Widow, you don't necessarily need to be going in for these one clips on the backline. I mean, if you have a free opportunity, yeah, go for it. But for the most part, you want to play this more passive style where you're controlling a flank, so none of the other flankers are going to go that way. And if they do, you're going to be dueling them, because Tracer is, in my opinion, the best dueling DPS that you can have. For the most part, you shouldn't be losing if you have somebody equally skilled on two heroes. Tracer still should not lose just because of how good her dueling capacity is. So you going on those, controlling those flanks, making sure that nobody's pushing in onto your backline, And if you're not doing that, then you're poking tanks so that it's going to make it harder for their tanks to do anything, either because they're going to be low as fuck and can't go in, or the resources of their healers is going into their tanks instead of their DPS elsewhere, giving your Widow, your Ashe, your other DPS, whoever, the potential to get the pick off on either supports or DPS. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For the Tracers thing, you just need to learn when to either you're playing like the backline assassin, or you're playing that more passive flank controlling tank pressuring style. Yeah, I don't have anything because honestly, I'm not ever gonna be able to say anything on mechanics for any of the DPS because you guys are obviously more mechanically gifted than me. So it's just honestly, it's just gonna come down to positioning, how you're using your abilities, when you're using them, that kind of thing. More of the thinking stuff than the actual point and click kind of mentality, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't have, and I mean, if you do something stupid, I'm just gonna call you out because that's just fun as shit. So basically, when you jumped off the map, it's Genji, like that kind of thing. Or not using recall, that kind of thing. So I can't really say anything about it mechanic-wise, and I'm not going to be able to help you with that. That's just a fact that I'm not going to be able to help you with. So Tracer, I don't have anything else to say besides reiterating that the two styles. On Sombra, I thought where you were placing your TPs has gotten a lot better since when we first did our first VOD review on Sombra. You're making sure that it's close to the fight so that when you TP out, you're not away from the fight as long as you long enough for their team to win that 5v6 while you're away. The EMP was rough, but again, you thought you were going to die, and which you did, and you just wanted to use all before you died. Make sure you're going for these, what did I call them? The farming phases. Right, the EMP farming phases for Sombra. Make sure every phase, for the most part, if you're getting a good phase in, you're getting at least 30%. Which isn't going to happen all the time. You're going to have someone either turn around and pressure you out, that kind of thing, but a good farm phase is you're getting 30%. For the most part, it should take you 3 fights to get EMP in general. And the rest of the 10% is either passive or right at the beginning of the fight, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So at least I think that the 30% is good. If you get more than that, props to you. That's perfect. You're going to get a fast EMP. So make sure you're going for these farming phases. And if you guys are trying to build EMP, so when you were at that Hanamura on second, if you call, hey, let's play a little slow, we have 40 seconds left on the clock, let me get this this farming phase done, you guys do some poke, try to build ults, we go in, we wipe them, right? So you do that first farming phase, you TP out, hopefully at that point you have like 90 or 80 or 90%. Once you guys go in, you get the rest of that ult charge, you now have EMP to use.
Yeah.
Everything else was fine. Hack targets were fine. And then the Genji, right. Genji, for the most part, I'm not going to say, for the most part, you know Genji better than I do. It was just those small things that, like when we first started, when instead of poking down that main choke, go to the top left, get the spam in from the top, because as soon as you get blade, or the faster you get blade, hopefully the faster that you win the fight. Or at least push through choke, that kind of thing. So, I mean, for Genji, I don't really have much to say on Genji, but, yeah, that's all I have for those. So,
Okay.
if you're good, then there we go.
Alright. Thanks.
Yep. Yeah, you too.